The votes are in, and San Francisco has ousted District Attorney Chesa Boudin. Here are the numbers. 60% voted in favor of the recall, with 40% voting to keep him in office. So now what? As we take a live look at San Francisco City Hall, will now be up to Mayor London Breed to pick the new district attorney. KPIX 5's Wilson Walker has more reaction to that vote.
As we all know, the recall is sparking conversation across the country, and there is a lot to talk about. What does this mean for criminal justice reform? What's next for Chesa Boudin? But another question a lot of people are asking is, what does this say about the current state of San Francisco politics?
From experience of hearing from people in the community, they were really frustrated about a lack of accountability for crimes that get committed in San Francisco.
That was Mayor London Breed's assessment of the vote that ousted the district attorney. Some have described it as a political earthquake, a sign that the tectonic plates of city politics are shifting.
It definitely reflects the fact that a number of people have found each other. To some degree, we can thank the school board recall for that brought a number of parents together and brought people in the Asian community together. And that coalition is a big part of what was behind this recall as well.
And that coalition can be seen in a map of the results. Chinatown looks a lot like the Sunset, just as the Excelsior looks a lot like Nob Hill, and Pack Heights looks like Viz Valley. Very different parts of the city that reached a kind of consensus.
People in San Francisco, I think, regard themselves as progressive or liberal within reason.
You know, I think there's broadly liberals, and moderates, and progressives, and whatever. I think everybody, they do want a government that works for them and works for the city of San Francisco and works for its residents and does things in a liberal, progressive way. And right now, things are not going very well, and I think they're upsetting lots of people, right? So anybody that's on the ballot right now would have been in trouble.
That's another theory, that voters aren't necessarily moving right. They're just simply tired of dysfunction, and if that is the case, more incumbents might have things to worry about.
If things continue the way they are now for another year or so, that's going to bode ill for the mayor's chances. It's going to make her job tougher to get reelected.
And there are more elections ahead. We will talk more about what comes next in the process to replace Chesa Boudin and the choice now faced by the mayor. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. We are here in San Francisco. Wilson Walker, KPIX 5.
Even President Biden today took note of the Boudin recall, sensing a shift in voters' attitudes. He tried to defend his administration's record on fighting crime.
I think the voters sent a clear message last night. Both parties have to step up and do something about crime as well as gun violence.
So the president tried to show that he is not part of the defund the police crowd. He says he's asked Congress for $300 million to hire and retrain police officers. We are keeping tabs on election results across the Bay Area and statewide on KPIX.com.